Guys, let's get going. What's your hot take, Reedman? What do you got off the top turnbuckle?
Got a bit of an item today in Sport Confidential, Dave, about Parramatta and more change going on at Parramatta. There's a lot going on there this year under Jason Rolls, and they've now given Ryan Madison permission to go out in the market and find a new club. He's got 1 year left on his deal. I think he's played one game in first grade this year. He's languished in reserve grade all year, and the club's now giving him permission to go out and look around. So more change at the Eels.
Well, it's been on the cards, to be fair, hasn't it? Really, and we've seen a lot of those more experienced NRL players at the Eels under the Jason Rolls way, just being put to the side almost. Like Bryce Cartwright's another example.
Sean Lane's now taking a break from the game.
Yep.
Obviously, Sean's got his own issues to deal with, but Sean's now taking a break from the game, and the club's talking to him about, I guess,
finishing up. Yep.
So yeah, there's a lot of change going on there.
Yep. What are you thinking, Tyson?
I've got, for my hot take, I think Penrith's comeback on the weekend was a 1 week thing.
1 week thing?
Yeah.
Wow.
This is big. He's just coming and dropping grenades.
Look, I was there at the game, and I think at the start, I thought they were playing horribly at the start, and the only reason why the score blew out to how big it did, and the reason why they ended up finding form was because of how poor the Broncos were playing.
They were pretty insipid. You and I were both there. Tyson had a big magic.
Clearly. He was on tour.
His judgment's a bit off.
He was on tour. Yeah.
Hey,
I'm surprised you can even remember the game, to be honest.
Make your judgments on my hot take after
the weekend.
Right?
Okay.
After the weekend.
The Bronx did struggle early in that game.
Yeah.
They had a lot of football, and they just couldn't do anything with it. They never really threatened the Penrith line, really.
So you're tipping the Cowboys to beat Penrith this week?
I'm indecisive on that, but I just think.
Hold on.
No. I just don't think. I don't think they're. Everyone thinks that the Penrith are back now. I think whether they win this week or not, they're not back. I think their performances are still pretty poor.
So you put a line through Penrith for the year. Now that's a hot take. What do you got, Dave?
Oh, look, I'm just excited about the I went WA double bear then. So, the WA Bears still don't have a name, but it is official. They're in the comp, and I've got to say, I've had my mates asking general questions about how happy they are that the Bears are back, and I think it's a great move for the game. The next big step will be the talent pool and the impact on the game, and there'll be a stack of debate on whether the game can carry another team, and not including PNG just at this point in time, but whether we have the talent to cover WA.
You know who I worry for, Dave? I know they're talking about going to rugby union in South Africa and Argentina. I worry for Super League, because you can get a direct flight from Perth to England. So if you're an English player, and you get homesick, you're worried about coming to Australia because of homesickness, that direct flight makes it more attractive, I reckon. So I think we've got to be really careful with Super League, because it's struggling now.
Yeah.
And WA has the potential to completely eviscerate it.
Yeah.
So that's my concern. But I love that they're in.
Yeah.
I love that they're back. I mean, Tyson, we saw Bears jerseys up in Brisbane at the weekend.
Everywhere. It's more Bears jerseys than Dragons.
Tyson, you might get a start. How are you playing? What's your form like at the moment?
Well, I'd say my form's pretty good, but I don't think I'm going to start with the Bears.
Well, we might
just really quickly, I reckon the NRL, it's time. We have heard so much talk about this over the years about pilfering rugby union, and it's time now to try and find a way to give clubs salary cap exemptions and dispensation to go and pilfer rugby union.
Yeah.
Go and get Wallabies players now for this Perth franchise, and that knowing that rugby union had a foothold in the WA with a Perth team, it's perfect timing to take a stand. We saw it that there was some talk that Mark Nawanakatuizi the Roosters would get some dispensation. That didn't come through, but it's time now to start eating into rugby union.
Yeah, we've got an item in the column, Dave, on Tommy Wright, who plays for the Wallabies, and the NRL are looking at, some NRL clubs are looking at him at the moment. My only concern is you've got to protect the integrity of the salary cap. So if Perth go and sign 5 rugby union players,
it needs to be a cap,
and they get a 50% discount. I think Brandy called for 50% discounts this morning for rugby players. What does that do to your salary cap? If one club's getting 5 exemptions, I think you know, it
You can
has the
cap it,
potential
Reedy.
to create an uneven playing
You can
field.
cap it, Reedy.
You'd have to cap it, yeah.
Let's keep an eye on it. Fellas, big breaking story yesterday from Michael Carianis and yourself, Reed Man, in relation to this contract saga that is Des Hasler. Revelation that there's now clauses in the contract that the Titans can get out should he not make the 8 this year. It's a big story because we're now analysing every single weekend's result as we get closer to the finals to determine whether Des is going to be at the club next year.
And it's big because we're talking about Des Hasler. This guy's coached, I think it's 590 games in the Premiership, won a couple of comps, and his last 2 clubs he sued after leaving them. So I think it's really smart by the Titans to put some protection mechanisms in the deal with Des because when they gave him the job, clubs weren't exactly beating a path to Des's door. The Titans had the whip hand, and they've used it smartly. So, you know, you're right, Dave. We're going to be monitoring them every week now for the rest of the season until they're mathematically out of contention for the 8, which, mind you, could be soon, the way they're going. So we'll be keeping an eye on them.
What's going on at the Titans, Dos?
Look, it's the same problem every year with that club. You can't blame Des Hasler because you look at every single coach that's there and they've all done the same thing. It's hard to get up and play footy at the Titans. I've known people that have gone there and played and they've told me that it's more a party town there. They're not as focused on footy, and you see some of the pictures on their Instagram of their training and you see the water in the background, you see the bright sunlight. I'm telling you, for a player, it's hard to get up and do the hard
Have you been to the northern beaches? There's water and Manly managed to get up.
It's not the Gold Coast. It's not the Gold Coast. And that is the problem there. I promise you that. You look at the talent that team has right now and you look at the talent that they've had in the past. Every player that's gone there has not succeeded the way they did before or pushed on the way everyone was expecting.
Their salary cap completely, I've said it consistently, their salary cap's completely out of whack. The way they have invested so much money in their forward pack is, I find it extraordinary, and they're in this situation of having a rotation of halves and relying on the champion Kieran Foran getting back on the field. At fullback, again, it's like it's a carousel of fullbacks.
They're a bit unlucky there, Dave, though. Keanu Kinney would have been their fullback all year, but he's done his neck. I don't buy this idea that players can't handle the sun and the glitter strip, because you look at bloke like Tino Fasuamalawi, never impacts him. He's brilliant every week. That's personal. But that's personal responsibility and accountability. That's not on the club. That's on the players. For me. So I think it's a weak excuse. No, I'm not having a go at you here, Tyson.
Yes, you are.
But I think it's a weak excuse to say players can't play there. It's too distracting. Well, that's
the other
they're getting the wrong players. That's the case.
But that's the reason they bought in a Des Hasler.
Yeah.
That's the reason they bought in a Des Hasler.
But my worry at Des is, Dave, I worry whether the game has passed him by. You know, those antics he pulls at press conferences.
Well, the games that he
media,
plays has passed him by.
Oh, I mean, it's so boring now, Des. Come on, man.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. You know what I mean? They need a coach who's going to promote them.
Yep.
Not a coach who's going to end his own press conferences after 3 minutes.
Yep.
Like, it's insane.
Just quickly, the Chooks, a lot of movement now going on. They've tapped Dom Young.
It's not a surprise, though, is it, Dave?
And Brandon Smith is on his way to the Rabbitohs.
Yeah. And I
expect this to be finalised over the weekend.
Yeah. And I'm not surprised. I mean, Dom Young's really struggled on the wing defensively, and I'm told he hasn't really settled in the eastern suburbs. And Brandon, look, the minute he signed for South, he was always going to be gone before the year's out because those clubs hate each other. And they've obviously had their fill of Brandon. So I'm not surprised. They just need to negotiate the deals. And I'm sure, as you said, Dave, I reckon it'll be done over the weekend. Great signing. I think Brandon's a great signing for South. They're battling. I know he's out for a while yet.
Well, how can he be such a poor signing for the Roosters and such a great signing for South?
I don't know.
Well, you said it.
Some people.
I think as a footballer, I think he fits what South need.
Well, I don't know about that, but some people just don't fit into systems, right? And I think that's the thing with Brandon Smith. I think it's probably also the thing with Dominic Young. Dominic Young at the Knights was the finisher. He was that guy. You see, he's had some troubles doing the hard yards out of red zone and trying to get that ball back into attacking shape, because it almost looks like he freezes up as soon as the defence is within 2 or 3 steps from him. And I think that's where he struggled, and that's hindered his ability to be that awesome finisher that we all got to know and love from the Knights.
Dom Young, it seems a fait accompli, heads back to the Knights. Yeah. Again, another recruitment the Roosters made that I don't... It'll go down as a loss.
A flop.
A little bit worried about the Knights. Like, they seem to be replenishing areas that I don't think they need, which is in the pack. The pack's their concern for me.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think they're in the I think they're out there in the marketplace. I assume they are. I don't know how much money they've got
Look,
left
to be
spend.
fair, when a player of Dom Young is knocking on your door to come back, you probably take him, right?
Particularly how good he was up there. You know, he was outstanding in Newcastle.
The money they're getting him for as well is insane. You're getting an international player for just over $200,000.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's too good to resist, Dave.
Tice, how's your Viking clap?
So you will never see me do a Viking clap.
Well, you could on
He
Saturday.
just cost himself the chance of landing a contract with the Raiders.
I know.
Ricky's listening. What are you doing, mate?
I think if ever you're going to buy into the Viking clap, it's sold out GIO Stadium. This is a sellout. It's official. 3 o'clock Saturday afternoon. Canberra versus the Dogs. 1v2. It's like the glory days again of the 90s all over again. Who wins and why, Tice?
I think the Raiders have it, and I've tipped against the Raiders the last couple of weeks, so I'm starting to learn. But they've just got this grit and never say die attitude, which you keep saying, oh, it's going to go, it's going to go, it's going to go. But I can't see it going. I really like, we had an article this morning about Ricky coming out and telling his players, you know, at the end of that game, don't let the hype get to you, and don't listen to, you know, your best mates and how good you're going. I think that's perfect for them, because you saw last year they started pretty strong, not as strong as this year, but they fell off towards the end of the year. I think Ricky's learnt. Ricky's been there for a while. He knows this pack. He's developed this side. And I really think we're in for a special Raiders side. Probably better than the one we got in 2019.
I think the Dogs are hurting a little bit now with Sitili Tupanua out, Josh Curran out, and now obviously Jacob Preston, the suspension, he being out. I think that hurts them. It's a huge test for them. They were good against the Titans, but I was just worried about the Titans offering too much. I don't know if they did. So I'm leaning towards the green machine here.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think they're just flying at the moment, the Raiders, and you're right, they've got some big names out at the moment, the Dogs. I was at that judiciary hearing on Tuesday night. Yeah,
wow,
very interesting. Afterwards.
What happens there? Do you get free pizza and stuff like that?
They had they used to have a coffee machine. It's not there anymore.
Right.
Very disappointing. And
they've run out of money.
I think they had some sandwiches for memory.
There's still spring rolls.
I'm off bread.
I had spring rolls last time I was there for cough.
You go through these little periods of going off bread.
Yeah, bread and carbs. You know,
Right, and how long does that last for?
Well, so far it's 3 days and counting.
Good work.
But Dave, you know what?
You know we're going to Andrew Webster's 50th on Saturday, right?
Yeah, I might eat some bread there. Yeah,
right. So the last 4 days, wonderful.
Can I say we were going to brush over that hearing, but it was really interesting afterwards, because the lawyer for Jacob Preston came out and said, I'm not having a go at Tino for Su'a Malawi, but we really need to stop diving in the game.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good drive-by, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I agree with him, though. Diving's shocking.
Yeah.
I hope you don't take a dive. Do you ever take a dive?
Never.
Go down holding your neck?
No, because if you do that these days, you get taken off the field.
Yes.
It's silly. It's not in the spirit of the game.
Good on you, mate.
Hey, fellas, Origin is around the corner. Just 2 weekends of matches. So this weekend's matches and next weekend's matches. That's it. Laurie Daly, Billy Slater, they pick their teams. Now, let's have a real quick crack at it. For me, I'm a Mitch Moses, Nathan Cleary combination. I think Jerome Luai, while decent, isn't ripping the door down at the West Tigers. I think there's been a couple of games where he's gone a bit quiet. I'm going to use the Golden Point Sharks match as an example. I don't think he really stood up in those moments. How do you see it? Tice, I'll start with you. Who's in the halves for the Blues?
I think it will be Nathan Cleary and Mitchell Moses. However, that's not how I would pick. I would go Jerome Luai and Nathan Cleary, or Jerome Luai and Mitchell Moses. I think
You drop Cleary.
Hold on.
no, that's it. Hey,
What?
let me justify.
Why didn't you start the show with that?
Let me justify. I said I would go with either of those. You can't have 2 dominant playmakers both trying to be in the same team. It does not work. It does not work. You need someone like Nathan or like Mitchell Moses to do the majority of the kicking, control that team. You need someone like Jerome Luai who's going to play that good second fiddle, who can do the stuff on the other side of the field. You see how it's affected Penrith without having Jerome there this year. Jerome did so much last year in Origin, and he complements Nathan perfectly.
I'm just trying to think on your point. Didn't Cronk and Thurston
There's a couple of good playmakers.
pretty dominant halves?
Only one.
Anyway, we'll let you off the hook.
12 years or something.
Over to you, Rick,
Oh,
man.
mate, I've got no doubt for me. It's Cleary Moses.
Yeah.
It's a lay down Mazier, lock it in, it's done.
Why?
I think that's what
Because you love the kicking game.
Well, I just think Mitch is a better player than Jerome Luai.
Yeah,
no
yeah.
disrespect to Jerome, who's a really good footballer, but I'm sure Mitch will subvert, is that the right word, his ego, to allow Nathan to run the team, and Mitch will just chime in when he has. He's got a great running game, Mitch, as well.
Yep.
So I think it can work.
Fullbacks, boys, Dylan Edwards or Tedesco?
Again, done and dusted. Edwards will be the fullback. I know Teddy's playing out of his skin, but I mean, Dylan Edwards was there last year. They won the series. You've got to show loyalty.
Yeah.
Dylan Edwards for me.
I'm a huge fan of James Tedesco.
You both going Teddy, are you?
No, and it really hurts me to say this because I just love watching Teddy play. His longevity and ability to play at such a high standard is incredible. But you're right, Reedy. Edwards doesn't deserve to be dropped, and I think combinations count in Origin, and all those Penrith connections will help Dylan Edwards' case to get him into the team.
I think Tice thinks he should be dropped.
Well, I don't think Tedesco should have been dropped last year. He's playing too good footy. He's playing too good footy to leave out of that side. If we want to win State of Origin, James Tedesco.
Partial, mate.
Majority. James Tedesco has to be there.
Boys, Jake Trbojevic doesn't make my team. Again, it's a tough call.
This is disgusting.
He's a typical Queensland comment coming here. Tough call, I get it. Captain, champion bloke, champion player, but not with the current forward pack that has.
So you're going to axe the captain of the team that won the series last year. This would never happen in Queensland.
Yeah.
Never.
That's why you won't
But
win.
you blokes just dispense a bloke who's been loyal, drives the culture, led the team to a series win last year. You just kick him to the curb.
See, sometimes I can take everything you say seriously, and then on this account
This
I
would
can't.
not happen north of the border.
Keep
Never.
stirring the pot. Stirring the pot.
Stay tuned. A bit more stirring to come.
There's a dilemma too for your team.
Yeah.
On the utility factor, I think Dearden gets the 14 jumper and Hunt misses out.
Yeah. I wouldn't argue with that if that happened. We lost. We lost last year.
Throw him out.
We lost last year, and when
The
you
champion
lose,
bloke.
loyalty goes out.
Do you
the
remember
window.
his runaway try
How
to
long-
win
how long
the
ago was that,
series?
man?
Hey,
Come on.
he's a champion. You've thrown him out.
Mate, Dearden was there last year as well. Very good footballer. In better touch than Ben Hunt at the moment. I think Ben's form's been a bit inconsistent. And Munster and Daly will be the halves. So I don't think there's room for Ben Hunt.
Well, I don't think Tom Dearden provides the same utility level that Ben Hunt does. Like, if you're playing him at 14, if you're looking at Ben Hunt and Tom Dearden as a 14, you'd have to go with Ben Hunt. Where would you play Tom Dearden if, DC and Munster are healthy the whole time?
He could play. Queensland has a tradition of using
Making up stories to suit their narrative.
using outside backs in the middle of the field, or halves. Cooper Cronk played in the middle of the field when he first played Origin. Callum Ponga first played Origin in the middle of the field. They came on, in the middle of the field at stages during the game. Tommy Dearden could do that. He's tough.
Would
He's
you
tough
not rather Ben Hunt do that? He's done it before. He's been there and he's done
on
it.
current form? No. I think Tommy Dearden's got it. Tommy Dearden has his nose in front of Ben Hunt on current form.
You're talking on current form, but you just told me before that we can't drop Dylan Edwards for James Tedesco.
I told you why though. Because when you win, you reward loyalty. We didn't win last year. We lost. Right? You won and you're about to get rid of your captain, which is outrageous.
Tice, I'll give you a tip. Stop listening to this bloke. All right, welcome to this week's edition of Mailbag. Send in your questions, comments, talk topics to code nrl@news.com.au. These are probably more statements than questions, but let's go with it. Wayne Bennett reveals how he helped orchestrate Adam Reynolds' Broncos move. What are we taking away from that?
Well, I think Wayne rang Kevy and Alfie to talk about Adam Reynolds. I don't have a great problem with it. I mean, South had made the decision to move on. They had Lachlan Ilias coming through the system. Adam wanted a long-term deal. Now, in hindsight, you could argue it hasn't been a great move for South.
Yep.
But Brisbane haven't won a comp with Adam there, so I don't have an issue with this.
Yeah.
Wayne's just looking after his players. He always does.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
Yep.
You know, we've seen it work both ways with Wayne. There you go. Look at that.
You can agree.
Yeah.
This one comes from King Matt. Now, King Matt says, I'm not having a go at Des in particular.
Des Hasler.
Sounds like King Matt's having a go at Des. But it is so
I love a but.
But it is so pleasing to see a journo ask tough questions and face-to-face, not hiding behind a keyboard or podcast. Well done, Travis Main.
Yeah.
Well done, Trav.
He grilled him. He grilled him at the I think it was at the airport.
Yeah.
Good on him, Travie.
Yeah, they were good questions.
Yeah.
Doing his job.
Hard-hitting journalist Travis Main ripped into Des.
This is what you can learn, Ty.
Yeah, you should watch
This is what's
that.
coming.
I analyse Travie, everything he does. I have
Yeah,
notes.
he's a genius. But Desi was a bit... Desi was typical Desi, wasn't he?
Yeah. Fellas, Brad writes, not many players thrive after leaving the Storm. Some do, but not many. He's clearly referencing Brandon Smith there.
He's been a bit unlucky, Brandon. He's had some injuries since he's been there and some issues off the field. As I said earlier, I think he's a great signing for South.
I don't think the Roosters did their homework, Rudy.
Okay. Well, that might be true, yeah. That might be true.
Well, his best position wasn't starting hooker. When he was at the Storm, his best position was playing that utility or playing a lock. And they put all their investment into having him. So I tend to agree with you there, Dave.
I think there is a genuine wariness across the game in buying Storm players because you're wondering why the Storm are letting them go. And if they're letting them go and all the success that they've had is you question what is wrong with that player. There's been a couple of examples that have kicked on. Nico Hines has done a pretty good job.
So Harris had a great career after leaving the Storm.
Big Tino.
Oh, Big Tino, ripper.
Great example. So, I hear where Brad's coming from, but and to be fair, probably more don't kick on than do.
Yep.
Last one. This one comes from Wayno. Imagine letting a club legend like Damien Cook go, and then sign this bloke within just a few months.
It's another Brandon Smith.
Including
another crack at Brandon.
He was good at the Storm, but the cheese has grown mouldy.
Wow.
It's grown mouldy over the past 2 seasons.
It's been injured most of all this year, and the end of last year. It's a bit harsh on the cheese, calling him mouldy.
Well,
Wayno.
I don't think it is harsh, to be fair.
Maybe that's
Wayno.
Wayne Bennett just having a jab to fire him up for when he gets there. Trying to put a rocket under him for when he arrives.
Has he gone mouldy, Tice?
I don't think so. He's still young and he's got like Reedy said, he's a bit injured. I think people just like to have a sook about some things, you know. The Roosters haven't done terrific the last couple of years, and you're going to have players that, as a result, get put under scrutiny, and he's one of those players. Yeah, he hasn't been at his best, but he's been far from their worst.
Yeah.
Send in your questions to codenrl@news.com.au.